Welcome. Today we will be reading Lesson 267 in the workbook, and from the text, Chapter 23, The War Against Yourself, the Introduction. And now for Lesson 267. My heart is beating in the peace of God. Surrounding me is all the life that God created in His love. It calls to me in every heartbeat and in every breath, in every action and in every thought. Peace fills my heart and floods my body with the purpose of forgiveness. Now my mind is healed, and all I need to save the world is given me. Each heartbeat brings me peace. Each breath infuses me with strength. I am a messenger of God, directed by His voice, sustained by Him in love, and held forever quiet and at peace within His loving arms. Each heartbeat calls His name, and every one is answered by His voice, assuring me I am at home in Him. Let me attend your answer, not my own. Father, my heart is beating in the peace the heart of love created. It is there and only there that I can be at home. The eternal life that love created is in everything and everywhere, all around oneself. It makes itself known in every sight, sound, and perception of the world, in every sensation of the body, and in every thought of the mind. Serenity pervades one's awareness, reminding one of the goal of mercy. And in this release of guilt is one freed from all illusions of separation. In seeing no sin is the world born new and clean. And in all things does one experience quietness and innocence. Let one listen to the voice of love today, instead of one's own personal thoughts. From the center of one's being is love's essence revealed. And in joyful gratitude, one arrives home at last. And now for our text reading for today, from chapter 23, The War Against Yourself, Introduction. Do you not see the opposite of frailty and weakness is sinlessness? Innocence is strength, and nothing else is strong. The sinless cannot fear, for sin of any kind is weakness. The show of strength attack would use to cover frailty conceals it not, for how can the unreal be hidden? No one is strong who has an enemy, and no one can attack unless he thinks he has. Belief in enemies is therefore the belief in weakness, and what is weak is not the will of God. Being opposed to it, it is God's enemy, and God is feared as an opposing will. How strange indeed becomes this war against yourself. You will believe that everything you use for sin can hurt you and become your enemy, and you will fight against it and try to weaken it because of this. And you will think that you succeeded and attack again. It is as certain you will fear what you attack as it is sure that you will love what you perceive as sinless. He walks in peace who travels sinlessly along the way love shows him. For love walks with him there, protecting him from fear. And he will see only the sinless who cannot attack. Walk you in glory with your head held high, and fear no evil. The innocent are safe because they share their innocence. Nothing they see is harmful, for their awareness of the truth releases everything from the illusion of harmfulness. And what seemed harmful now stands shining in their innocence, released from sin and fear, and happily returned to love. They share the strength of love because they looked on innocence. And every error disappeared because they saw it not. Who looks for glory finds it where it is. Where could it be but in the innocent? Let not the little interferers pull you to littleness. There can be no attraction of guilt in innocence. Think what a happy world you walk with truth beside you. Do not give up this world of freedom for a little sigh of seeming sin, nor for a tiny stirring of guilt's attraction. Would you, for all these meaningless distractions, lay heaven aside? Your destiny and purpose are far beyond them. In the clean place where littleness does not exist. Your purpose is at variance with littleness of any kind, and so it is at variance with sin. Let us not let littleness lead God's Son into temptation. His glory is beyond it, measureless and timeless as eternity. Do not let time intrude upon your sight of him. Leave him not frightened and alone in his temptation, but help him rise above it and perceive the light of which he is a part. Your innocence will light the way to his, and so is yours protected and kept in your awareness. For who can know his glory and perceive the little and the weak about him? Who can walk trembling in a fearful world and realize that heaven's glory shines on him? Nothing around you but is part of you. Look on it lovingly and see the light of heaven in it. So will you come to understand all that is given you. In kind forgiveness will the world sparkle and shine, and everything you once thought sinful now will be reinterpreted as part of heaven. How beautiful it is to walk, clean and redeemed and happy, through a world in bitter need of the redemption that your innocence bestows upon it. What can you value more than this? For here is your salvation and your freedom, and it must be complete if you would recognize it. It is pointed out in this introduction to chapter 23 that to have an enemy is an attack against oneself. For the belief in an enemy is accompanied with thoughts of threat, weakness, and littleness, as ideas do not leave their source in one's mind. And here is where the war against oneself begins. One becomes afraid of what one attacks, and thus everything one uses to attack one's so-called enemy ends up hurting oneself. The innocent do not have enemies, and have no fear because they share their innocence. Nothing they look upon is harmful because they share the strength of love. And in this love does one recognize that one is not separate from anything around oneself. One merely walks the world in gentleness and in peace.